For the longest time, if you asked, what's the goal of a business? The answer seemed, well, super simple. But today, that answer is getting way more complicated and honestly, a lot more interesting. Okay, let's dive into this and explore how the very purpose of business is changing right before our eyes.
For most of the 20th century, this was pretty much the golden rule. The famous economist Milton Friedman laid it out pretty bluntly. A company's one and only social responsibility is to make more money for its shareholders, period. And look, it was a simple idea, right? A profit-first philosophy that literally built empires.
But, you look at the world today, with all its crazy challenges and a whole new generation joining the workforce, you gotta ask yourself, is that still true? Is just making money, and only making money, really enough anymore?
In that single question, it's kicking off this huge shift. We're seeing this move away from just focusing on profit, and we're heading towards something bigger, a more, holistic view of what it really means for a business to be successful.
And this right here, this is the new model. It's called the triple bottom line. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's totally revolutionary. True success isn't just a single number on a spreadsheet. It's that sweet spot where three things overlap: people, planet, and profit. Basically, it means a company's success is now graded on its report card for how it treats people and the planet, not just its bank account.
And hey, this isn't just some, feel-good theory. It's a powerful force changing the real world. And it's being driven by the workforce itself. Check this out. A whopping 75% of Gen Z workers, we're talking people born after 1997, are saying, hey, my employer's values have to match my own. For this generation, it's not just about getting a paycheck. It's about finding meaning in their work.
Okay, so to really get this new goal, we have to think bigger about who a business is actually responsible for. It's not just the owners anymore. No, it's this whole universe of people and different groups.
In these groups, we call them stakeholders. So what's a stakeholder? Simply put, it's anyone who has a stake in what a company does, from the employee on the assembly line to, say, the family living right next door to the factory.
And this visual is a perfect map of that universe. Just picture a company sitting right in the middle of these circles. To be a good manager today, you have to get what's happening on every single one of these layers, because they all affect each other. So let's break them down.
Right at the core, in that inner circle, you've got your internal stakeholders. These are the folks on the inside, the employees doing the work every day, the owners who've got their money on the line, and the board of directors steering the ship.
All right, let's move out one ring. This is the task environment, the groups a company interacts with every single day. Here you've got the usual suspects, right? Customers, competitors, but then you've got suppliers. Remember that crazy global chip shortage that brought the auto industry to a standstill? That's a supplier issue. And how about distributors? Just think about the whole Taylor Swift ticket mess. That was a massive distributor breakdown, and man, the consequences were huge. And then, all the way on the outside, you have the general environment. These are the big picture forces that a company can't really control, but absolutely has to react to. Things like economic forces. Think inflation, new tech popping up, shifting cultural values. And of course, you've got these huge international forces. A perfect example? The whole debate around banning TikTok in the US. That shows you exactly how global politics can threaten a massive business model, just like that.
Okay, so when you've got all these different stakeholders, and they all want different things, things get complicated, fast. Making decisions isn't just about the numbers anymore. It's more like trying to find your way through a tricky ethical maze.
And this, right here, is the core challenge for any leader today. It's what we call an ethical dilemma. It's that situation where you have to decide on something that might be great for you or your company's profits, but it could be unethical or even illegal and hurt someone else. And listen, these are not just textbook theories. Look at these real-world examples right here. Hiring your buddies instead of the best person for the job, that was a huge part of the story with the collapse of the crypto exchange FTX. Or how about abuse of leadership just to get results? Noma, which was called the best restaurant in the world, actually ended up shutting down its fine dining operations, partly because of all the heat they took for their super intense, frankly unsustainable kitchen culture. These are the kinds of brutal calls managers are facing all the time. So the big question is, with all these conflicting interests, how on earth do you make the right call? Well, it turns out philosophy actually offers a few different toolkits to help us find our way through that maze.
So there are basically four main approaches we can use to guide our decisions. First up, you've got the utilitarian approach. This one's all about doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Then there's the individual approach, which is about what's best for your own long-term self-interest. Third is the moral rights approach. This one says we have to respect fundamental human rights, things like privacy or free speech, no matter what. And last, we have the justice approach, which is all about being fair and impartial. Each one gives you a totally different lens to look at a problem.
So let's put two of these side by side to see how different they are. The utilitarian view, remember, is all about the final result, the consequences. It asks that classic question, does the good outweigh the bad? But the moral rights approach, it doesn't really care about the outcome. It cares about the principles. It asks, does this action violate a basic human right? And the answer to that matters, even if violating that right might lead to a good result for a lot of people. So you can see how you could use these two frameworks and end up with completely different decisions.
Okay, let's zoom out one last time here. If a company manages to juggle all its stakeholders and navigate all these ethical minefields, what's the end game? What's its ultimate purpose? Well, the answer really comes down to this big idea: corporate social responsibility. You've probably heard it called CSR. This is the idea that a company's job doesn't end with just following the law and making money. It has this bigger responsibility to actually make society better.
In this pyramid here, it's the perfect way to see how this all stacks up. See, down at the bottom, the foundation, a business has to be profitable. That's its economic responsibility. If it's not, nothing else matters. On top of that, it has to obey the law. That's its legal responsibility. Then moving up, it has an ethical responsibility. That means doing the right thing even when the law doesn't make you. And then, right at the very peak, you've got philanthropic responsibility. This is about being a good corporate citizen and actively trying to make the world a better place.
So this whole shift from just focusing on profit to thinking about this entire pyramid of responsibilities, it really changes everything. It changes how businesses operate for sure, but it also changes the role that each of us plays in this ecosystem. So I'll leave you with this question. Whether you're an employee deciding where you want to work, a manager making a tough call, or just a customer deciding where to spend your money, what role are you going to play in building this new kind of business?